I welcome you all to Let the Law Speak. And this is the episode 3 of Wills and Estates. Like I said, continue to send in your messages and the lawyers will attend to you and advise you accordingly. Let the Law Speak is brought to you by OGB Ride and Ghana Pan-African Teas.
What should you have?
We are answering.
No, but it seems like
You're talking about the property.
not the property.
Oh.
Let's say when you're doing a will, maybe you need this, you need that, apart from the name, and you know
Yes.
what is contained, you know, what are yes. So Lawyer Daniel.
The question is not really clear to me. When you say what
formal requirements.
Like the
formal
okay, you
requirements.
just want to make
what
sure.
are yes, that
So, in a will, there are three main things you must look out. First of all, the will must be in writing. Of course, there are exceptions. If you are a military man, and for example, you are dying on the battlefield, you can make an oral will. But for that one, they are even specific requirements. Yes, it must have been an active service. Secondly, it must be signed by the person who makes the will, or in other words, the testator must be signed. And then thirdly, it must be attested to, which means that there must be witnesses, at least 2 witnesses, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So those are the main formal requirements of a will. If any of my colleagues want to talk about.
I think Daniel has explained it quite well. But we just want you to know that you have to be very specific in the devices and the distributions that you make. Because you see, in Africa or in Ghana, there are certain families whose the traditional names are very similar. You see. So, for instance, if you have a niece called Na Ayele Kute or Nadi Kute, then you say, I leave this house to my niece Nadi Kute, and there are 6 Nadi Kutes in your family. You could be creating a lot of mess rather than fixing the problem. So you have to say clearly, Nadi Kute of so and so, or who works at this place, or whose mother is so. And yes, and you could also, I believe that in the Ghana system of naming children, a man could have 2 or 3 wives, and they name the children in the same similar name. So you have to state, let's say, James Kute of my wife, so and so.
Okay.
So those are the little things that a lay person might overlook, that a lawyer can easily pick up based on the instructions you give the lawyer. And then we also look at other things in the will that deal with the kind of interest that a particular person can take in the property. Maybe you can devise interest in the property to Mr. A for life. That means it is for the duration of the person's life. And then after his death, it goes to somebody else. So there are so
interesting.
That is why you have to go to the lawyer.
So when the will is done, who keeps it? Is it the lawyer? Is it the firm? Who keeps it?
So, when you make a will, the Wills Act demands that after you make a will, it should be deposited in the High Court. Also, if you die, or if you pass on without and the will being deposited in the High Court, and the executor must, within 14 days, deposit the will in the High Court or any other court. So that is what happens to the will when it should be kept.
Whoever keeps the will, your lawyer can keep the will. You, the testator, or whoever make you the will, can have it depending. Then what happens is that one of the will is deposited in the high, if I registered and sealed and is deposited. Now it has been improved. Now when you go there, you must have pictures and all that so that nobody else will go there. So there's highly secure. So that then that makes the will very secure. So who keeps it? Your lawyer can keep one, then you deposit one in the High Court, wills registry.
Yes.
So that's
correct.
that's what it is. It's sealed, by sealed until it is operationalized.
Yes.
You can't even touch it. So you go to court, do the necessary processes for it to be brought out and broken and read out to all parties. And that is how it operates.
So you said who keeps it? I'll summarize everything.
Summarize everything.
Okay, so you go to the lawyer, and the lawyer prepares it for you. And then we usually make 3 copies. 3 copies. And then, like our colleague said, now there are requirements. Everything is regularized. So you bring your, maybe your ID card, your Ghana card, then your pictures. And then after all other requirements are met. So we seal it. There is a wax that is used, it's a red wax. We seal it. And then the lawyer is even required to place his name, the one who prepared the will, the name of the chambers. So that's why we have license numbers and then chambers registration numbers to make it very easy. Then you go to the High Court, and clerks usually do that in almost every chambers. And then it is registered and deposited, like those are the terms, deposited there. Then they give you a receipt. So the lawyer keeps a copy of the will plus the receipt. The receipt tells you the name of the testator who deposited it, the lawyer who prepared it, and then the date it was deposited. And then you also keep a copy. And then the copy is in the court. Right? So upon your death, you go back to the lawyer, your relatives, and then he writes to have that will read. So when you register, they enter it in the system. It's centralized now. So the moment your name is typed, it will come up. And then they'll give you, the registrar will give you a date. You call the parties involved. Then it is read. They break the seal at that time and then read it. So your will never get lost.
Okay. I have wanted to do another follow-up question, but I think it's fine to answer. Yes. So thank you so much to this. I don't even know. I'm so like, these are great men, great lawyers. Thank you so much. But before we end this, what advice would you give to the public?
Right, so let's start from yes, Daniel.
Advice in general
Oh,
or
no.
specific
To the wills and estates.
So, my advice to that is never know when you are going to die, you're going to pass. So, it's very important that you make a will so that you clearly define what goes to whom. And so, if you have children, the will is very effective in safeguarding the interests of your children when it comes to your property. So I know a lot of older generation are very stubborn when it comes to things like wills. So it's very important. You shouldn't take some things for granted. So this is the little I know.
Thank you.
Well, I would say that it's very important to make a will. Because as my mother said, you never know when you're going to die. And sometimes we are scared to make a will because we think that once you make a will, you are going to die. So people are very, very scared to do it. But you never know when you die, and as in our main part of history, the dry leaf can fall, fresh leaf can also fall. So you need to put your house in order. As the prophet told the man of God in the Bible that you are going to die. So you put your house in order. So at any point that you think that you've acquired some properties, or you've acquired even an iPhone, or you want to do and then you need a will. So a will is very, very important.
Yes, I'll echo what he said. And since a lot of your viewers are not in Ghana, or some of your viewers are not in Ghana, I must add, even though you are not in Ghana, once you have some properties in Ghana, no matter how minute you think it is, just have a will. At least have a will that would deal with your properties in Ghana. So maybe even though we didn't talk about it, it's very important. Don't say because I'm not in Ghana, maybe the will I have in UK or US or wherever will cover all of that, just to be safe. Have a will that will cover your properties in Ghana. That will probably be done by a lawyer with English jurisdiction. So that's the advice I'll give, especially for those who are not in Ghana. Get a will to cover your minute, your few properties you have in Ghana.
Thank you so much.
Just to add on to what you said, I think the general problem is that once you talk to somebody about the will, hey, I'll die. I've had several encounters of the elderly, and they'll tell you, if my wife gets to know, then I'm dead the next day. He said, and these are all, we are so paranoid about some of these things. But just to re-emphasize what I said earlier on, it's better for you to determine how your house should be, the orderliness of your house when you are no more. It is better for you to do such a thing. Can you imagine when you are dead and gone, and cutlasses and all manner of this just flying all over your home? Because even siblings of the same womb,
Yes.
in fact, it could be so deadly. You can use the will to prepare your own funeral. We've had several of them. How your funeral should be organized, who should come, what and how it should be done. Organize it, you never know. So what we're encouraging is that let's use that opportunity, share the bread to our children when we were alive, rather than allow it for a paying here this law 111 to come and share it. Perhaps that would not have been your intention. So the will is actually an opportunity for us to deal with the matter the way you would have wanted your property and your estate and whatever to be shared. And that, I think, will bring sanity to society and families. We can tell you, we are battling in court several cases where a small understanding would have been okay, but because there's suspicion that somebody's person was close to my dad, so I'm sure he or she influenced those things and all of that. But we pray that people will get understanding. If you are scared, just talk to a lawyer. That is the basic common thing. And you get all your fears allayed. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I just like to say that my colleagues are very, very smart guys. So the opinions that they've given to you are very, very good and sound advice. I'd just like to add a few. You see, the era where this will making and intestacy and all that used to be a big problem is gone. Now the law is changing So much so that even your will that you make today, if you do not seek the advice from a lawyer and you make it so stringent, excluding some people, the Constitution has provisions that can attack that will to carve out interests for people who legitimately are entitled to it. So it is no longer a mystery. It is very open. Now, we have also told you that in order to prevent a situation where after your death, your family has become more scattered than you would have wanted, walk to the lawyer's office and have a will done based on your instructions, and then you can mitigate all those things. Then I also like to also advise spouses. You know, the Constitution and the Supreme Court have, interpreted the laws such that properties acquired during marriage have some legal consequences attached to them, whether or not it is registered in the name of one spouse. So you need the advice of a lawyer to be able to put the interest you have in such properties on paper, and then in that way you will be preserving the interest of the other spouse after you are dead. Then also there is the issue of making a will to cover properties that you have built on family land. Believe me, the law hasn't changed. Once you build it on family land, it acquires the nature and interest of family property. So you will not be protecting the interest of your children and your spouse when you are gone. All these, you need a lawyer to advise you. Now, you count this from Proverbs 13:22, that says that a wise man leaves an inheritance for his grandchildren. And these grandchildren here can be interpreted to include your children and your spouses. The will can only be activated after your death. So, from the time you make it until the time you pass, you have a laxity to always change the provisions of your will. But kindly do it, because we are all in one voice to say that you do not know when you will be called. So that is our advice to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. They've said it all, and like I said, I'm grateful to be here today. Join us same time next week on OGB TV.
Hi good people, so let me introduce to you the new app and service in town. It is the OGB Ride. If you're thinking a private car to any destination, OGB Ride is the new app. Well, for your comfort, for your security, now there are categories like the comfort ride, the taxi ride, and the luxury ride. Now you want to download the app today. Patronized, made in Ghana. It is by the people, for the people. If you're thinking development and jobs for young people, OGB Ride is the thing. This is our own. So download the app today and you won't regret it.
OGB Ride.